All right, so we're going to close out, as always, with something a little bit light and funny. And this is maybe as much depressing as it is light and funny. But two interestingly sort of conflicting news stories, both related to SAP. We've alluded to it throughout the show about picking on SAP. I'll just cue them both up here. The first is a report, I guess. So SAP introduced something called the RISE service, or the RISE with
Rise with
SAP program.
SAP. Yep.
And shockingly, customers are saying, yeah, it hasn't worked out all that well. And at the same time, SAP announced that they've just extended their contracts for Christian Klein, their CEO, and their CFO, Dominik Asam, by 2 years each. So doubling down on the executive team, and and yet still struggling to find real relevance. We've been talking recently about the S/4HANA challenges, and it's like we find very little like positive talk about them, and yet I guess their executives are nice and stable. So it's sort of funny,
Yeah,
I
it's
guess.
really interesting. So another rare thing, I'm going to say another thing, nice thing about Gartner. So Gartner analyst Alessandro Galimberti did this research looking at Rise with SAP customers and found that this program, which is designed to provide optimization and management and digital transformation for SAP customers, isn't going as planned. They're not meeting their SLAs. They're having challenges with the implementation. And the part that I find most interesting about this is that the challenges that this Gartner analyst found were often related to the fact that Rise with SAP was sold to business executives, but then the techies and IT people had to actually work on the deployment and work on the transformation and work on the modernization, and found out that the details hadn't quite been hammered out along the way, leaving them with a lot of extra work to do and leading to the inability to meet SLAs.
And yet, the
Yeah,
question is, does any of it actually matter? I mean, I remember I went to Sapphire. It's been a few years since I've been to Sapphire. But and I mean, like Bill McDermott was still there, right? And I remember at the time thinking how how conflicted it felt, because all I ever heard from executives was how much they hated SAP and how painful it was and yada yada yada. And yet here was a super flashy show and obviously gobs of money,
mm-hmm.
and it's like the juxtaposition between these two, and it just speaks to the fact that it's deeply ingrained software. It's deeply embedded into the organization of their clients, and which is most organizations, most enterprises have it. It's really hard to displace, and there's very little value in replacing it for the most part, and so you just sort of suffer through it. And I guess the question is, does it matter? Does it, in the age with all the other battles and fights, if you're a CIO, if you're an enterprise leader, does it matter? And maybe the right answer is no, it doesn't, and you should just stop complaining about it and move on. I don't know.
But it does seem like SAP is making real progress with their cloud migration velocity, which is something they've struggled with for years, which is why the executives got these extensions, because SAP said at the end of the day, we're looking at our numbers, and we are hitting our numbers. The stock is up 50% over the past year. So there's no way you can complain about that. Like that, that's
Well, that's
amazing.
sort of what I mean. It's like well, when you have like this analysis of the rise of SAP, and you just talk to executives, and you get all that sort of negativity, and we sort of give them a bad time all the time. But to your point, the numbers, if you look at it from a stock perspective, from a revenue perspective, from a profit perspective, if you take all the esoteric stuff away from a raw business standpoint, it's a good business, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying. So it's like one of these weird situations where it sort of doesn't matter, and it's like as a human, I sort of have trouble with that. It's like I have trouble processing. It's like, how does it not matter? But I guess it's just
Well, if you
it,
customize anything enough, it gets stuck in there. It's like a house. You could live in any old cave, but once you've figured out what you want with your house, it's impossible to leave, right?
It's all
SAP
done, I
becomes
guess.
your house. Nice.
I think that's a pretty good analogy. It's like you built your custom house, and you can complain about it, but it's yours. You built it, so there you go.
You built it. It's yours. Welcome to SAP. Yes.